Hi everyone, welcome to today's session on car and bicycle parking schedules. Today we'll be going through the fundamentals of creating parking schedules for cars and bicycles, motorbikes, and various types of parking. We'll be going through parking components, numbering and tagging parking, car parking schedules, bicycle parking schedules, and finally verifying counted elements. All right, first off, we'll hop into a floor plan here. We've got a plan that we've actually prepared earlier. I'll just go into one here. And here's just a bit of an idea of something that we'll be preparing today. So this is basement level 1. We've got some motorcycle parking, bicycle parking of various forms, some accessible parking with the shared zone, as well as a whole bunch of standard car parking spaces. Let's head over to our basement level and we're going to fill in the gaps. Okay, so we'll start off with some standard car spaces here. So car parking is located within the parking category. So we'll go car park, and we're just going to be using a Australian standard 2.4 by 5.4 long today. But these are obviously parametric, and it's important for you to check your local planning regulations regarding what types of parking you can use and sizing. So today's class shouldn't necessarily inform that. Okay, so I'm just going to place in some parking here, snap that in. And don't be afraid to use the array feature, which is AR and to pick and array. I think we can maybe fit 5. Then we can select all those in view, SV, do a mirror, MI, and array over the back. So really quick way to place parks. These ones, if you don't want a wheel stop, because they're all the same group, you can go into the group, uncheck wheel stop, finish, and there you go. Okay, now let's run some along the back here. So we'll repeat that component, CM. We'll just place one in, and we'll do an array, AR, and we'll pick the center line of that line work and array that along. I'm not sure how many we can get in here. Perfect, 14. All right, so there's some standard spaces. We'll pop in some accessible spaces, same process, component. But this time we'll go through and we'll pick. Now, for our accessible spaces, we're wanting to put in a shared space in between. So it won't be as easy as placing in an array. We'll actually have to pop these in one at a time. Okay, something like that. So I'm going to copy that over. These should snap. And now we've got 2 accessible spaces sharing a shared space. And we're just going to copy that over again and repeat that to that space there. Finally, let's pop in some motorcycle spaces. So component, we got motorcycle spaces. Again, just a rough Australian standard here. We'll pop one in here, use the array tool, make sure it's on second, and place in, say, 5. Okay, so that's coming together nice and quickly. All right, so in terms of numbering and tagging these, you may wish to just use the tag all function. So tag is just tag by category, TG, and you can hover over your car space and click, and that will tag your car space like so. But you may also wish to tag by category. Now I'll do that now. We'll do tag all, TA, head down to parking. Tick on parking tags, select the tag type that you want, and then hit apply. Now, before I do that, I do want to make sure that I isolate the elements in this view. Otherwise, things like this, which is parking, will be tagged. So let's just redo that. Select all in view, SV, and I think we'll just tag our standard parking today. They can be scheduled. So we'll do tag all, down to parking, hit apply, click OK, and you can see it's come up with all the little question marks ready for the value to be input. Now, when we tag parking, we would like to tag it as the mark value. And the mark value means that we can sequentially add up those parking spaces. So we can go 1, 2, 3, 4, etc. Now, I have numbered these on one of the other levels, and I just want to check what I've done. So I've done B basement 2.1, 2, 3, 4, and then around. Okay, so for us to do that on our level 3, we may you may sit there and do something like this, B 3.1, although obviously that's going to take you a substantial amount of time. So you'll be looking to use some sort of add-in, such as PyRevit's EF tools and renumbering by a spline. So I'll just draw in a spline now, which will be a detail line, DL, and I'll just pick the spline. And this is just going to be a line that we draw that runs through all these parking spaces in the order that I would like them to be numbered. Now, just remember, those arrows are parking category, therefore can be counted. So just be wary of other elements there. You do want to verify it. So we'll go renumber by spline. We're going to search for parking. And then it says pick the curve for numbering, and we're going to pick this spline that we've drawn. And the start is going to be 1, and our prefix will be B3 point. Okay, and when we would like to use the mark value, let's go renumber. Okay, so B3, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 7, etc., all the way around. You can see that that's numbered those in that order. If you'd like to shift those tags, by all means, select one, SV, select all in view, and you can just sort of use your shift and arrow keys to shift those into position. Now, if you'd like them to be vertical or horizontal, you can select them and you can swap them out over here, like so. And now you'd be looking to move them over in sort of bays, like so. And I'm just using a combination here of select all in view. I've got lots of shortcut keys set up to make it easy for us. They just land perfectly. How's that? All right. So there's 50 car spaces. I know that's correct. I can do a select all in view and I can verify that number there. Okay, pretty happy with that. All right. Let's move on to actually scheduling these. Okay, so we'll just save up our work here. Now, to schedule these, we'd be looking to create a parking schedule, of course. So we'll go to schedules, new schedule of quantities, and we're going to create a new parking schedule. Okay, I'm just going to use capitals here. New construction, good. Fields that we're going to want here include possibly the level that they're on, the count, the description, and temporarily we might want things like the family type and name. So let's actually go with family and type. I'll just pop that to the top. And there is one more parameter, which you'll need to get added to your project, which is a custom parameter called schedule filter. I'll explain what that does in a moment. All right, so just to get these into order, we certainly want description first. Level, we'll go level description count. These other ones will get deleted soon. Just click OK. Okay, so that's counting all of our parking there. Now, obviously, it's not a very digestible format, so we're wanting to make some changes here. So let's go ahead and make some edits. Okay, so level, we might want to group these by level. So let's go over to our formatting here and we'll pick level. Now we're going to make level a hidden field and we're actually going to put level at the top here and make it a header with a footer. And then we're going to sort by type. See what that looks like. Okay, so we've got a little bit of order here. All right, so one thing with the family and the type name is that it's designed for Revit, so it's not that straightforward. It doesn't look very clean. So what we want to do here is actually use our description field to fill in what these space types are. So, it's called disabled here, but, the better term for that is actually accessible. And that's actually a shared space, so we don't want to schedule that either. There's a few things we need to do here in order to make our parking schedule as we want it to. So first, let's tackle removing some of the things that should not be in here, such as our shared spaces. So I'm just going to click one of those and let's go highlight in model. It's going to come up with this view. Here's our shared spaces. Now I can click one of these, and what we want to do is set up some sort of parameter that we can filter these out by or include them by. So what you want to do is usually just set up a parameter where you can include things. So in this case, what we've done is we've gone to manage project parameters, and we've set up a new parameter called schedule filter. And basically that's a shared parameter that is a text parameter that includes most objects or pretty much everything in the project. So it's a text parameter that we can use for scheduling. So our schedule filter. Okay, and from there, what we're going to do is we're going to select the things that we do want to schedule, such as this car space here. We're going to go edit type, and we're going to go find that schedule filter parameter here, and we're going to assign values to it. So in this case, we're going to be putting in there. We want this to be part of our car parking schedule, this particular type. Click OK. Now it's type, which means that this one here will schedule as well, provided they're all the same type. So I'll do select all in view and I can temporarily hide those. I know they're done. Let's click this standard space, rinse and repeat. We'll go through schedule filter. It's now a drop down. Car parking, select all in view. I can see there, temporary hide. Okay, that's looking pretty good. All right, now for our motorcycle parking, we're going to have a different schedule for that. So we're going to click into those, and instead of putting in car parking, we might put in motorcycle parking, like so. Okay, so that's all those types. Select on view, temporary hide those. That's looking good. Happy with that. Hide reset, HR. All right, now that we have our filters in place, we'll need to apply them to our parking schedules. So back to our parking schedule, we'll go to our filter tab and we're going to filter by our schedule filter. And we'd like to pick the type of schedule this is. So in this case, we're going to pick equals car parking. That means only those elements that have that value will be scheduled. Click OK. That's looking a lot more digestible now. All right, so in addition to what we've got here, we've got a description. Now we've filled that out already for these spaces. It's very easy to fill out. You can just click on a family. Again, you could go highlight in model. You could edit directly from the schedule. You can click on one of them, but it's just a matter of going into the type and getting to this value, which is called description. And I've just called it standard spaces. And then for the accessible spaces, we've called them accessible spaces. And that just means that we can itemize those parking elements for our schedule much more clearly. So we can see here, we've got 50 standard spaces on level 3, 4 accessible spaces as well on level 3, and that sort of repeats between all the levels. All right, let's clean this up a bit. We'll go into our fields. Now that we've used our family and type, we can just knock them out of the schedule because we don't need them. And we'll want to add in instead our sorting and grouping. We want to go by level, then by description, and we might put a blank line at the top here as well for level. Okay, and we might get rid of the footer name. So we'll just go with totals only here. We'll also add grand total, which we're just going to call total. And we've got now our basement level 3, etc., and a grand total. If you'd like to itemize these totals per level, what you'll need to do is to go into formatting, select your count, and ensure that it is calculating totals. Like so. That's all looking pretty good. Now to make our motorcycle parking schedule, we can actually just duplicate that because it's pretty much the same schedule with a little bit of a difference, which is a motorcycle parking schedule. And instead, we're going to change our filter to be motorcycle parking. Okay. In actual fact, we don't even need schedule filter there. So what we need to do is to keep it in the schedule, but make it a hidden field. That's looking much tidier. And we'll do the same again, schedule filter, hidden field. So it's still there. Now we do need to tell these to be, what sort of spaces are they? So we might call them standard motorcycle spaces. I'm confident that all of these can be the same. So it's going to change that particular family and type to that value. And that's applied across the board. So we've got 15 motorcycle spaces. So they're all done now. On to bicycle parking. Okay, so first off, bicycle parking, we found a number of issues when elements are placed on site category. So traditionally, and we've done this as well, is we've created the bicycle parking on the site category. However, there's some known limitations of site category elements, and that includes there is no location information, automated location information, such as level or room, which actually proves a few issues when we go to scheduling. So to combat that, we instead have them under specialty equipment. So I'm going to pop in some bike racks here. First, let's just start with a simple bike hoop. Now, this is just one you can place in. We can do the same as what we did with the car parking and array that. So we might array that 4 times. So it's 4 basic bike hoops. There are also racks that come in a family that is sort of automatically arrayed. So we'll place in one of those, which in this case we'll do this sort of staggered offset wall mount type bicycle rack. We'll pop in 30 of those. So those are nested families. Okay, so all the way along. And lastly, we're going to pop in one that has some issues which I want to demonstrate how to fix. So let's just do another search. This sort of secure bike bike rack. Okay. And we'll pop in 6 racks there. Now, 6 racks doesn't necessarily mean 6 spaces. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. It's actually got 2 per rack. So just be wary that that is not necessarily a schedulable item. Okay. And, you know, such as this, you can actually possibly fit 2 bikes, but that'll come down to how you handle the data. So in this case, what we're going to do is schedule these. So we'll go into new schedule and reminding you that we're now using specialty equipment. Okay, and we're going to repeat what we had before, which was description, count, type, family. In this case, we can do level. However, there's issues with level, and I'll show you what they look like. We also want to go to room level, and I'll just bring them both up just to demonstrate. So just click OK and see what happens there. Okay, so we've got all of our fields there. Now, just with our other elements, we'll want to filter out some of these because we've got all sorts of specialty equipment in our project. So heading back into our plan, we want to head over to our bicycle racks and we want to select them. Let's start with the most simple of them first. And we want to tell it to filter. So in this case, we're going to do bicycle parking. So each type, you need to program it to be scheduled. So schedule filter, bicycle parking. Okay, that'll apply to all of those of that same type. Now for this one, this is actually a family. Okay, so you don't want to schedule this thing, which is the multiple element. You want to schedule the nested component. So I need to tab down to it and select it. And then I can fill in, it'll be gray because it's a nested component. I can go into there and I can access the schedule filter. I can put in bicycle parking. Now they're all the same. I can check that. Yep, that's looking good. And now this one. Now, if you have an issue and you can't tab down to particular elements, it's because they're not shared nested. So what you need to do is you need to edit that family and you need to tell it to be shared nested. So we've got 2 elements here we'd like to schedule, this side and that side. They're 2 bicycle racks. So we've got to go into that one. We've got it on the side here, tick shared. And then we're going to load that back into the original. Okay, don't need to save. And then we'll do the same for this other one because there's 2 different types. Again, tick shared, load it back in. Overwrite the original. Now I've got 2 shared nested elements, which means they're taggable and schedulable independently. And then we can load this into our project. Okay, like that. Now I should be able to tab down and select it like that, loop 1, and that's loop 3, for instance. So I'll click that one, edit type, go down, and now I want to schedule this nested component, bicycle parking. Click this one here, edit that component, schedule filter, bicycle parking. Those 2 things schedule. This thing here, edit type, should not have any value. Just to reinstate, that should be blank. We do not want this thing to schedule. All right, let's go check out our bicycle parking schedule. Now, we've got all these extra bits that have come in. So we're going to go filter, and we do need our schedule filter parameter. And we want to go equals bicycle parking. All right, so now it's only those elements. Now let's go and add some order to this. So we want to go by, say, level, actually room level. I'll show you why in a sec. Description, don't itemize. Grand totals, yes. Title and totals. Total, add a blank line. Header and footer, level description. Okay, see how that looks. All right, get it, got a little bit of order there. Okay, so now one of the things with the level is that what you'll find is nested elements struggle to find what level they're on. So if I click this, it actually doesn't have a level. So I'm down in the nested component. But if I click the host, it does have a level. So that's why we need to use the rooms level. So that's how we get around making that work. So in this case, we've got fields, we're going to get rid of the level, we're going to keep room level instead, because you can see room level, no issue, level, sometimes there's gaps, and they're all working like so. All right, let's clean it up. Room level, let's make it hidden because we've got a title for it. Schedule filter, hidden as well. Back to fields, add some order to it. We want description and parking, really. Description and count. Don't really need type or family anymore. Although you might want to fill in that information. Those other two are left over. And that's what we're left with. There's our description, types of parking. Obviously, you can clean up title and totals. What do we want up here? Just totals only. And if you want to make those count per level, you can go to count and set it to calculate totals. There we go, I've got 138 bike spaces. All right, finally, how do you verify all this? How do you know it's being counted correctly? So the best way to do that is visually. And to do that, what you can do is set up a view that shows things counted as green or some sort of color. So here's a view that we've set up. It's schedule filter view, in this case for this level. Now I've set it up for parking, and you can see that anything green is being counted, and these spaces here are not being counted, so they're not showing up green. Okay, and these elements are not showing up green either, even though they're parking. Now the way that that's working is there is a filter applied on this view. If we go down to our view template, which will show any parking element that has the schedule filter with car parking written into it, we'll have that color applied. So let's go ahead and do that one for the bicycles because we haven't got one for those. So I'm just going to duplicate one of these and we'll rename it. And this will instead be specialty equipment, schedule filter, bicycle parking, like that. Then we're going to make sure we pick specialty equipment, turn off parking for this particular filter, and schedule filter equals bicycle parking. Okay, so now the filter is set up. We'll add it to this view. And we will apply the colors to it. So you can click through and change the colors like that. But if you've already got the colors, neat little trick you can do is select all of them that have, and select one that has the color already. You just click that one and click OK, and it'll apply the same override. This also works in these other model categories, etc. Whoops, if you want to do, I've just clicked on the wrong thing, so I'll have to hit it all back in manually. Okay, that's looking okay now. Click OK, click OK. Now you can see here, they're being counted. That's not being counted. Counted, counted, all taken care of.